All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. This is the fourth session for our data analysis track using Excel, and it's the second week. So I think at this rate we are moving at a very good pace, right? We've covered the basics. We've learned how to navigate Excel. I believe that anybody here should know how to navigate Excel. Add new sheets, enter data, edit it, write simple formulas, at least the if function, know how to clean your data, whether it's numerical, textual, or dates, right? So, and then lastly, we did an introduction to PivotTable. I'm still going to revisit that today so that we'll go in depth, and by next week we should be talking about visualize your data after analysis, how to do the analysis itself, and then visualize and create dashboard, right? So at this rate, I think we are really moving at a very good pace, which is actually good. And I'm hoping that all of us are moving together. If you think you are not, please draw my attention to it and we'll see what will be done about that, right? For the recordings of the class, it's made available by the end of this week. I've been really so busy to attend to it, so pardon me. But it's made available to us before our next class, just like I did the last time. And assignments will follow too. So for the meantime, you can just be googling and researching about what we've done. Okay, enough of the talk. And what we have today is we are treating lookup functions in depth, lookup functions, and then we talk about the pivot table. We talk about the pivot table, right? And I was saying that we were supposed to touch on Power Query. I've seen of you that how to go around the limitation that Telegram is giving us. But I think by next week Tuesday we should handle that. I just want us to make sure that we're moving with our schedule. Power Query is something additional I wanted to touch. Okay, so we'll just start, right? So if you can see my screen, please react that you can. By the way, if you know somebody that is supposed to be here, all right, nudge that person to join us that we are kicking off for today's class. So you can nudge them to join us. Anybody that is not on the call that is meant to be here, you can nudge them to join us. Okay. So today we are talking about lookup functions, right? Lookup functions. So I'm just going to merge my first few cells, merge them so that I'll use it as my topic, merge and center. And what we have is lookup functions, right? I'm assuming that everybody knows how to do this by now because we've touched it. Then make it bold. And this is our topic for today, right? Lookup functions. So like the name is saying, lookup means look something for me, find it. You're telling Excel, okay, please look at a range of cells or table and find something and return a relative information. So there are key lookup functions. We have the Vlookup, meaning vertical lookup. vertical lookup, which we call Vlookup, Vlookup. Then there is the Xlookup, horizontal lookup, horizontal, the index, there is match, and there is a combination of index and match. And then the most recent one, there is index, there is match, there is index match. And the most recent one, which is found in Excel 2021, is Xlookup. So if you don't have like Excel 2021, I don't think Xlookup will work for you. It works in Excel 365 or Excel 2021, which is what I'm using. But then index match can actually do what Xlookup does for you. It's just that Xlookup is more like, all of them have their limitations and their flexibility. So we'll just be picking them one by one. But before I go into this thing, I want to talk on what is called referencing. There's absolute referencing and there's relative referencing. There is mixed, actually. Okay, three types: absolute, relative, and your mixed referencing. So what do I mean by that? I'll just add a few rows on top so that I will explain what I mean by referencing. So now let me say that I have these numbers. I don't want this thing to be text wrapped. I have 2 here, I have 3 here, I have 6. I just want to insert some values that will work with. Over here, I have this, 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 I have this. Okay, nice. So now, if I want to do calculation, right, I want to like do equal to this, multiply this by b2, and I do my equal to, right? If I drag this thing down, automatically it will fill it up for me, which is what we have been doing. So at this rate it is now, it is not locked up, meaning it is relative. It is relative in the sense that as it moves, it's the referencing moves with it relative to the position. This is A2, this is B2, and at this point this is A3. Are you seeing the formula bar? This is A3, B3, and at this point this is A4, B4. At this point this is A5, B5. So if it keeps moving down, to keep referencing the rows, that's relative to the position it is moving down. That means this is A6, this is B6, so these two multiply. But what if our intention was that used to multiply everything here? What do? We have to lock it. That's when you talk about absolute and mixed. So we have to, like, if I want all the value here, because there's this formula, I'm trying to remember a formula that's involved. Okay, let's say that you want to calculate the area of a triangle, right? That's 1/2 length times breadth. That's what you want to do. You already know that 1/2 is a constant. Then length can change based on the shape, breadth can change based on the shape, but 1/2 will keep being constant. In that case, you should lock that cell that is containing 1/2, so that as you are moving down, it will not be reflecting or be multiplying with these values. So how will you lock it now? So that is what we now call, like, you can lock it in 2 ways. Absolutely, meaning you lock everything. How do I lock? If I want to lock the value here, so that it can multiply into and not changing to 3, 6, 8, 9, 3 as it comes down. How do I do it? I'll come over to my formula bar, and over here I can put this $sign. So the way I put $sign in front of A and I put $sign in front of 2, I've locked it completely. So this is absolute. So now I'll click enter. It's still giving me the same formula. But what if I now drag it down? What happens? I'll use my flash fill, remember. So if I drag it down now, you see that the values actually changed. How? What is reflecting here? It will keep being A2 times B3. It's like that because I actually locked A2. Over here, I must still have A2 times B4. Over here, I'll still have A2 times B5. So over here, I'll still have A2 times B6. As you are going, it will not change because you locked it. That is called absolute referencing. So if you want it relatively, it depends on the formula you're trying to write and the action. So like I just gave you a real example where you have a constant that you must multiply those values with. In that case, you must lock. So now, if I decide to lock everything, what if I decide to put the dollar sign in front of B and also in front of 6? You see that let's do it here in front of B and in front of the 2. So if I click enter, if I drag it down, everything will be 68. Everything will be 68 because I locked it. So it is multiplying 2 times 34, 2 times 34, 2 times 34, 2 times 34 because I did not give it room to move down relative to the position. It is locked absolutely. So now what are the instances of what's it called? Instances of the mixed, right? So let me see that another value here. Sorry. I'll start another column here so that you can use it to illustrate the mixed. So I'll insert a column. So over here now, let me see that I have 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 1. Like this now. I want to illustrate for mixed referencing, right? So now, what if what you had in mind is that you lock the, let me use an example. This is A2 times B2. I'll click enter to still give me 68, which is what we have here. If I drag this thing here, do you know what happened? What happened is that for this particular 68, it is 2 times 34, it gave me 68. For 8, it is 2 times 4, it gave me 8, right? And if I drag it down, it will be, so if I click on this formula, I'm having, because I locked 2, it will still be 2 times C3. So the point I'm trying to make is that I can decide to just lock the 2 and leave A open. Leave the column open but lock the row. Leave the column open but lock the row. How do I mean? If that is the case now, if I drag my formula to this side and drag it down, it doesn't change. So what? Sorry, I'm coming. I need to make sure that this is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So if you notice the difference now, so this is the point I'm trying to make. Now I have locked column A, meaning it must pick from column A, but the rows can change. How do you know the one that is locked and the one that is open? If the dollar sign is in front of the letter, you have locked the column. If the dollar sign is in front of the number, you have locked the row because the rows are counted in numbers, while your columns are counted in letters. That's number one thing to take note of. If the dollar sign is in front of A now, meaning I have locked column and B must come from column A. It must never move to column B. The numbers are taken to multiply. But then the rows can change because it's not locked. I am giving you the freedom to move from row 2 for this particular calculation. If I come here, I gave you the freedom to move to row 3. come here, I gave you the freedom to move to row 4. How you understand this one is you will understand this better with this particular side. Normally, what we are supposed to do is, as it is moving to the right, it will be B times C, which should give us the value that is here. But because we locked the column of A, you observe what is happening. It is picking value from the column of. Can another sign be used aside dollar sign? No. You use dollar sign to lock. Only dollar sign is used to lock cells. So I believe you get the point I'm trying to make. The difference between relative and mixed. So depending on the formula you're trying to write, you can use either of them. So I think with more practice, you should get used to that. I just wanted to point out because I noticed that I didn't really touch on it. It's one of the basic things that you should know in Excel, how to lock your formulas to achieve a particular aim. So without further ado, we'll just go into the lookup functions that we have for today. So I believe you guys got the referencing. Is there anybody that is confused? It's a very simple thing. If you are confused, you can drop your question in the chat. During our question and answer, we'll take it. So now we have this vertical lookup, right? So like I said, lookup is you're telling Excel, I have a range of tables and I want you to look for something in this table and return a relative information from me. This lookup value is function important when you have a large data set to work with. You cannot be looking through your data set manually, row by row, when it's up to 1,000 rows. It's very hard and tedious. So you use lookup values. Now, there are two types of lookups. You have exact match and approximate match, right? So exact match is like when you want the results with precisely what you are looking for. I'm telling it, okay, I know that there's a name called Chika. Go to this table, look for the score of Chika, and give me exactly the score that Chika got. If Chika is not in that table, return not found or return an error. So that is exact. Then index, approximate match is like look for something similar to Chika. Maybe if it's in ascending order, the nearest name to Chika, return the value for me. So that's like approximate. We are going to like do this in practical, but I just want to like define terms so that when we start doing it, you're not confused. And then there are also two situations where you're looking over values from two tables. So now we'll now take it one by one. Vlookup, it searches your functions down a column, vertical. Remember, vertical means column. So right. So let's go. So the syntax for Vlookup goes like this. Remember, it has to start with equal to sign. But I will not start with equal to because I just want to write the syntax. So it goes like Vlookup, and then it prompts you that you should write the lookup value. Lookup value. Right? And then you should tell it the table array you should look at. Where should you look from what column to what column, and to what row should you look at? That's the table array. And then you're telling it to look at the column index, right? The column where it should return your value. So that's like the column index name. And after that, there's now the range, whether it's exact or approximate. Exact lookup, range lookup, I mean. So this is like syntax for your lookup value. And then we'll just use examples to explain them better. Okay. All right. So let's say that I have this table of students ID. And then here the column header is name. And then there's also the score, right? So here, let's say that the student ID is 101. We have another student whose ID is 102. We have another student whose ID is 103, and so on and so forth. For the first person's name, we have Nena. Next person, we have Oga 001, and who again? Try to write the names I commonly see now. So I have Precious. I have Precious. So these are the name, and let's say that after the quiz that I gave us the last time, then I was getting like 89. Then Oga 001 was getting 78, and Precious got 92. So that this is like a sample table. Like it's very small, but we just want to use it to practice what Vlookup. When we are doing our final project for the class next week, we are going to use all of these things together to put everything together. But just to understand the concept first. So now I write a simple Vlookup so that I will demonstrate what it does for me. So I have equal to, remember, equal to Vlookup. By the time you finish writing itself, the formula will come out for you. So it says it looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table and then returns a value in the same row from a column you specify. It looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table. So this is telling you something that the value you are looking for must be in the leftmost side of your column of your table. Else, do not like to return an error. So if I'm looking for something, if I decide to look for Nena's name, I will make it such a way that the table array starts from Nena and score. In that position, Nena is the leftmost based on what I selected. Let's just be taking it one by one. So that we're not confused. So now let's say, like I just said, I'm looking for Nena. And I'll select the table array. To select the table array, I'll select this, look for it between the name column and score for me. And then there is also the column index. Where should you return value from? Remember, Vlookup looks for something vertically. I wanted the return value, return Nena's score for me. So I'll tell it in this table range now. Remember what we just selected is 1, 2. There's a difference. If I selected from student's name score, the score will be in the third column, right? But because I'm selecting name and score alone, this score is now to the second column. So that is like your range. It's called the range of data that you selected. The score is the second column in this range because I did not select the whole thing we're working with. So I'll just put 2 because I want it to return score for me. Then what do I want? I want it to return for me the exact match, right? So I can just write false. False is like return exact match. If I write true, true means approximate, false means exact. It's also explained here, false, exact. So I will just close and then I will write, it will return 89 for me because that is Nena's score. Now, for instance, what if I change my table range to start from A? Let's see what happens. It return for us an error. Who knows the reason why it is returning an error for us? Who can attempt to tell us the reason why this is returning an error for us? I changed the range now to start from student ID instead of the name. So now it's returning an error for us that is not available. Why?
I think because this is not on the leftmost side.
Exactly. So it's not on the leftmost side. So you have to make sure that what you look up value is on the leftmost side. That's number 1 rule for you. So if you have to change this now and make the lookup value to be A11. If I make it A11, that means I'm looking for it from the leftmost. Now I've made my lead the leftmost by making it to be A11. Remember, this is column A, this is column B, this is column C, right? So now I'll place my enter, and it returned Nena for me. Why did you return Nena? Because I told it to return value from the second column, and this is the second column in the range you selected. If I change it, if it's the score I'm interested in, I would have changed it to return from the third column, and to return for me, it's 9. You might think that this is like, it's not useful, because this data we are looking at now is very small. What you should be imagining is like you're working with a large data, maybe 1,000 rows or 600 and something rows, and you know that the column headers are already there for student name, score, and you already know that, okay, there's somebody that is called, that has an ID of 101 or 605. So my system is hanging. Okay, it's responsive now. Okay. Remember that instead of A11, I would have still said look for 1 for me. And instead of doing referencing the cell, I would have still written out the ID by myself, right? What if I now write 105? What happens? And I put it, is returning not available, because don't really have a that has the ID of 105. Are you getting the idea? So if you don't want this NA to show, like you want it to be in such a way that if that value is not available, it should return not found instead of this NA error. You will not enclose it inside an if error. If error functions. If error, the formula remains. If this formula runs and is actually supposed to return an error for us, return not available or not found. Not found. So instead of that not available, to return not found for you, I enclosed it into an if error. So it first of all runs the inner one. Remember, this is now a nested function. Anytime you are including another function inside another function, it is called nested function. I think we've done this in the last class. So first of all, I explained to us the Vlookup so that you will not be confused, right? Now, there are cases when what you are looking for is not in that particular table. It will return an NA error for you. NA means not available. So if you don't want that NA error to be showing, you can use the if error function to actually specify the value that should show. Not found, I'm sorry, there is no student with that kind of ID. Like anything you want to show, you can actually do that. So let's do another example with approximate match. I will use a student score grading system. So I have the score here and I have the grade, and over here I have like 0. Here I have 50. I have somebody, I have a 60. You know this thing that in school now there are grades for A, there are people who get B, C, D, E, and F. So that's what I'm trying to do now. So 70, 80. So for those who got 0 is automatically an F, right? Those who got 50, let's say they will be D. From 50 to 0 is actually D. Then from between 60 and 50, they will give them a grade of C. 70 will be B. Only people who get 80 to 100 will be A, right? So now, I now know, okay, maybe there is my student who got a score of 77, and I want to use this thing to determine the grade the person should come out with. So I can use Vlookup. I'll say Vlookup is now requesting for us what is look 7, right? And I'm looking for it in this table range. Then I want it to return the grade. So in this particular instance now, the grade is equal to 2, right? So it's return for it. And then it's asking me, do I want exact match or approximate match? I want to approximate, so I'll write true. And then it returns for us a B. Why did you return a B? Because 77 is not up to 80. Remember, those who get A are those who range from 80 to 100. Once you have 79, 78, 70, whatever, you must get a B. So it returns for us a B. Now, what if I change this thing to approximate match? You would see that it return for us that not available because there's no 77 here. So it's returned not available. Why? Because specifically stating 77 here. So that's the difference between exact match and approximate match. I hope you are getting the concept, right? Are you getting the concept? If you are getting it, type that you are getting the concept. If you don't, also tell me that you're not getting it. We are not rushing. This is what we have for today. So I won't take it step by step. So when we finally use it in the analysis, we will not get confused because we are going to put all of these things together by next week. Okay, I'm getting it. That's fine. So that's fine. So the next example I want to do is for, right? You know that you go to a shop, you order something. So when you order something, that there is you're automatically getting maybe even 3 tables. There is order table, there is a customer table, and there's the product table will carry exactly okay. The product table will carry the details of the product. The other table will carry and the customer table will carry details of the customer. Okay, let me just write the table we should work with. See, let's say that we are working with 2 tables, and the table 1 is called the student scores. Student scores, right? And let's add more rows. So over here, I have the student that has an ID of 101, just like we did before, 102, 103, 104, and 105. And the score this person got 45, 67. Oh, sorry. Okay. And then there is another table, table 2, the student's name, right? So there is the student name where 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, and name here is Nena. Let's just copy the names you have here so we're almost there. Nena to Precious. Copy it and we'll paste it here. Then add another name, Loretta. Let's use Oga 001 and let's pick another name. So I have Jimo. Jimo. Nice. So these are the names we have now. I hope you know how I'm adding these rows. I'm holding my Control Shift plus. That's how I'm adding those rows. I'm adding. So now I want to if you're looking at this table now, it's splitted, right? It's splitted the student's ID, the score, ID, score, right? Then over here, I still have ID and name. So I want it in such a way that I just have one table that's containing everything. So I can actually use this thing to merge these two tables. Now, there's something you need to take note of. You need to take note that this IG is the same thing with this IG. Like they must match. Like they must match. Because if they don't match, then there's your reference will be wrong. Remember what I already taught us about primary key. So this is like a primary key. What you're having here, there must be a common column between both of them that they are using as a reference point. Because if there's no common column, there's no relationship between those two tables. Now there's a relationship between this table and this table because IDs are the same. They are referring to the same set of people. It's just like your reg number. One lecturer has a list, a class list with your reg number and just your name and the score you got for that his subject. If the school wants to compile your whole course, how do you think they are doing it in their database? It's true because your reg number is always consistent. Like it now, the reg number is always a reg number. So they can actually pull out your value, your data from different tables and then merge it to a particular one so that when you look at it, you are seeing your whole course and your grade all at once. So Vlookup can actually help you to do that. So now let's practicalize it. Let's say that this is a one lecturer's database or Excel sheet or attendance, and this is another person's own. Remember, the reg numbers are the same. Now I want to pull everything to be the same thing, so I can use my Vlookup. So I can use my Lookup here, and then it's telling me what I want. I want to look for this ID, and it's asking me which table do you want to look the value from. I want to look it from the student's name table. So I can just select this range, and it's telling me what do you want to return. I want to return the name 2 from this range I selected. So I just put column 2, and it's asking me, do you want exact match or approximate? I want exact because yes, exact match. So I'll just write false. So we are missing a comma here, and I'll press enter. So it can see that it has pulled Nena's name from this table and brought it here for me. So I can just use my fill down, my flash fill to fill it down, and automatically it will drag all of these people's name to here. So now, if this was like a scattered sheet, I have everything on one table now. Do we get? So that's what like VLOOKUP can do for you. For it to work for two tables, they must have the same primary key or a common column. If it's name column, that is a common thing, fine, but they must have something in common for them to reference with. If, for instance, what I'm having here is this. If I click enter, this thing is going to be not available because 102 is not the same thing with 1102. So that's what I'm trying to say. What you're having here must tally with what you're having here for you to get correct results. So what happened here is that it looks for 102. You told it to look for 102. It came here in this table range you selected. You searched for 102, it did not see it. So it's actually written for you that there is nobody called with ID of 1102 in this our table range. Therefore, it's returned for you, not available. I believe that we have done justice to VLOOKUP, right? Have we? Have we? Should we do a final example? We have. All right. Good. All right. We'll just take the next one, which is horizontal lookup. So now, for me to discuss the concept of horizontal lookup, I want to discuss what is called data that is in long format and data that is in wide format. Right? So all of these things might seem too much for you at this point, but trust me, they may not seem too much when you start working with them. So there's something that's called data that is in long format and your data that is in wide format. How? So long format is the way this thing is now. Let's say, what's the perfect example I'll use? So I have my months have month and let's say January, February, I have March and so on. So if I keep listing the months downwards up to December, it is in long format because it is vertical. So for it to be in wide format, it's when it's written January, February, sorry, March. So this way now, it is in wide format because it is horizontal, written in horizontal. So there are cases when your data should actually be in wide format. So you can, if you notice, this VLOOKUP that we use are for cases where our data is in long format. So this is actually in long format because it's listing it downwards, like column by column, not row by row. Do you get? So what if the case is row by row? What do? We use Lookup. So it will look for it in horizontal format by row. Lookup works horizontal way, unlike VLOOKUP that looks for values in columns. Lookup looks for values and returns them in rows. Take notes. H horizontal, V vertical. Vertical is column, horizontal is row. Use that to remember it. So now, before we finally delve into that Lookup, let me show you how you can do copy and paste as transpose. So now you know that this thing is actually, let me delete what I have here so you can see what I'm trying to do. So you know that this thing is actually in vertical format. What if I want to copy it now and paste it in horizontal format? How do I do it? So I'll just select everything. I'll do Ctrl C. So now, if I come over here, I'll right click. If this is Ctrl P just to paste it as normal. You did not do anything special. So I'll Ctrl Z. That's not what I want to do. I'll copy this thing again. I'll come over here. I'll right click. I right click to tell me to paste as value. Who knows what paste as value does for us? If you know what paste as value does, please write it in the chat because we've used that extensively in our last class. What does paste as value do for you? Let me know who and who are coming to class and are actually paying attention. I'm waiting to see your responses. What does paste as value do for you? Shemu's formula. Nice. It's like this Oga 001 might actually get the prize for the most person that answers question most. Paste without formula. Nice. Okay, that's good. So now, paste option is that um paste as transpose. So you already know what transpose does for you. To transpose it in the opposite direction. If it was vertical, to paste it in horizontal. If it was horizontal, vertical. Exactly. It erases the background formula. Nice. So now I'll right click and then you can see this fx paste as formula. That's not what. So what we're interested in is the transpose part. To just show you a tip. When I do it now, I have pasted it as a transpose. I've transposed this vertical to horizontal. I just wanted to point out what wide format is and what long format is and how you can copy a whole data set and paste it as and transpose it. You might think that this is not necessary. So let's just insert values here. What if you like made mistake in all of this? You're supposed to have written it vertical. Would you have deleted this column? What you would just do is to copy everything. In fact, cut it and over here, right click. When you cut, it doesn't actually. when you cut, it doesn't show. So we'll copy, Control C over here. I'll right click and then I'll paste it as transpose. So I can now delete what I had before by right clicking and clearing contents. So you see what I did? The whole column. So you can just highlight what you want to delete. Right click and use your clear contents. So it will clear the content you have in those selected cells for you. So now let's go into Lookup. Let's go to Lookup. So to do that, I want to do this. I just want to form like a demarcation that shows that this is Lookup. All right. Okay. Nice. It means data remains static after you've derived. Okay, I guess you're answering somebody's question. Is that Mena? You have Lookup, meaning horizontal lookup. So if you're able to understand vertical lookup, I bet this horizontal is not going to be an issue for you. So what if you have something like the ID and then you have the name? And then we also have the score, right? Okay, and then there is this, the ID is 101. Instead of writing it out, I can copy the ID we have here and paste as transpose. So this is the ID. I'll still do the same thing to the name and the score. Control C over here. I'll paste it as transpose. So you can see how we're able to just copy and paste so that we don't waste time typing things out, right? So now let's find the score for ID 102. How do you do it? Finding the score for ID 102. Find the score for ID 102. So we can use Lookup. Why are we using Lookup? Because it is in long format. Remember, see the difference. The other one was listing it in vertical. This one is listing it horizontal. So that's why like we are using Lookup. So you know when your data is in wide format, you use Lookup. So we have Lookup. Sorry. Lookup. So it's telling you what is the lookup value. So the lookup value is that we are looking for the score for somebody who is having the ID of 102, and it's telling you what is the table range. So table range is this, and it's telling you where should you return from. The score in this case is row 3. So it's return value from row 3 and it should be exact match. So you close it and it returns 078, right? So if you change it to 101, to return for us 89 because that is the score for 101. The same thing you do, the same thing you can do for the when you have two tables, right? Now, I believe we have understood Vlookup and Xlookup. So we can take index match, then index match together. After that, we can touch Xlookup and then treat pivot table properly. and then we wrap up. If you have questions, any questions so far, if you have questions, can drop it in the chat. No questions. No questions, right? All right, so let's continue. So over here, we have index and match. So index is like in Python. Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. So index is like you know the position of something. You want it to like get the value in that position. Let me use an example to explain. So first of all, the syntax for index goes like this: index, then the array. Array is like the table. You're looking for that stuff. The row number and the column number. Right? So now I'm going to use an example. Let's say I have these columns. I have value like 10, 20, 30, and then here I have 60. Over here I have 50, and here it should be 40. Right? So if I have this formula index, it says returns a value or reference of the cell at intersection of a particular row and column. So one thing with Excel is that even before you start writing your formula, it will give you like a clue of what that function does for you. So we have index and it's telling us to select the table array. So we are selecting all of this, right? And then the next thing is row number. Where do we want to return from? We want to return from row 2. Then click enter. So now the intersection of row 2 column 2 in this selection is here. This is the first row, this is the second row, this is the first column, second column. So the intersection is 20. So do you see what is meant by index? You already know the row number, you know the column number, but you don't know the value that is that place. You want index to pull it out for you. That's when to use index. Right? So I'll just write a small another one. What if you want to return from row 3 column 2? Row 3 is 1, 2, 3. This is the row 3 and column 2 is still this, so it returns 50, right? And then we'll do for match. So over here we have for match. Match does for you is to find the position of a value in a list. Position of a value in a list. So unlike index where you already know the position, you know the row number, you know the column, match you don't really know, right? So in that instance, you're trying to say, okay, in this thing, I know that this thing exists, but I don't really know the position it exists. Match should pull out the position for me, right? So now, let's say we have this list 20, 30, 50. And then I have match. So it's telling you what is the lookup value. I know that there is a score, like somebody got like 20 for me. And then where should you look for it? You look for it in this array and then match the exact. So can use 0 to represent exact match. It tells me that 20 is located in position 1. If you change it to say 56, to tell you that 56 is located at position 3. Now 56 is at 2 places, so it will just pick the first one for you, right? So this might seem very basic, but by next week we'll use a handsome like end to end, where we are combining all the formulas that we have learned so far, all the cleaning we've done, and use it to actually analyze a real data set so that you can see how these things actually work out in real life. So my aim for today is to help you to understand how these things work, so that tomorrow when you see a problem, you will know when to use index, you will know when to use match, you will know when to use the lookup values, right? So now there is a combination called index match. This index match is very powerful. It's very powerful. So now I will just add a new column. Merge and center. Okay, so this should be index match. Index match. So let's say that we have this ID again. We have the name column and we have the score, right? And then over here you have 101 for the ID, you have 102, and there's 103. Then for the name and score, I'll just pick it from what we have before. Okay, so this is what we're having now. And what if I want to find like precious score? I know that there's somebody called precious, but I don't really know the first of all, I know there's somebody called precious in this my data set, but the problem is that I don't know if the name column is like the second or the third. Like I don't know the position. I'm very clueless. The only information I have is that in this table there's somebody that's called precious, so I want to like pull out precious detail, precious score in particular, so I can use my index match. Let's see how it works. So first of all, you start with index, and first of all, so remember that index asks you to do what? To indicate the array of what you are looking for. So I'm looking for the score, and then I want to use the match to find the position of precious name in the name column. So over here I have precious, and where am I looking for it? I'm looking for it in the name column. And I want exact match, right? So I'll click enter and it pulls out precious precious score for me. So I want to take a moment to see what's actually happening here. So the first thing that happens is that it runs the inner part for you first. It runs this match for you first. First of all, it looks for precious in the name column and it returns the position. So maybe over here it's counted 1, 2, 3. So what you will now be having is something like index index AF 11 to AF 13, right? And because we indicated the row, it already found precious to be on the third part, so it will just put 3 for you. So this is actually what happened in the background here. So you have match, look for precious in the name, return the exact position that precious is in this name column, and it will return for you 3. So now with the value it has, you're now having this array and 3. So if it comes to this particular score, it will count 1, 2, 3 and return 92 for you. So that's the line thing that happens in the background for this index match, right? Is it clear? Did you get that part? This one nobody's talking. Does it mean that we are not cleared? Talk, let's see where we are. Hello? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Somebody's saying no. No means it's not clear, or it's clear, or you cannot hear me, or you can. Didn't get the last part. Didn't get the index match. Okay. You can hear me. Did you get the index match part? You got it. Okay, I'll just like try to go over it again. So what this index match does for you is that first of all, okay, a lot of persons got it, and some persons say it's not clear. All right. So index match now they are combined into functions. Remember that index, what it does for you is to pull out a value in a particular location. Why the match part, what it does for you is to tell you the location of something. So you mixing um mixing out you're, you're mixing pulling the information in a particular column and not even knowing that particular position that is in this match. So first of all, what it will do is to find the position for you, because you need to know the position of something before you pull out the value in that particular position, right? So first of all, match will run for you. First of all, the match part, this particular part will run. And like I explained, what this particular part does for you is that you said, I'm looking for a name called Precious. I'm looking for it in this particular range, in the name column. I know there's a name called Precious, but I don't really know if Precious is. Look for that Precious name Find out the particular one to show you what's happening. So now I have pressures on as the position. So if I have pressures as the position, the 3, and then I have this index, remember what index does for you to pull out the value in a location. So I know that the location I'm in the third row in our range. So and the range I selected to look up the value. I don't know, I'm spelling his name wrongly. Okay. So now the lookup array would now be this, right? Then the exact match is 0. I'll use double quotation to close it. So it tells me that Nena's ID is 101. So I think it should be clearer to you now. What index match does for you is that first of all, the match part gets the position, and then the index puts out value in that corresponding position for you. So I think somebody has a question in the comment section. So we are having I think I've explained this in the next match again. So told me it should be clearer to you now, right? Then Anese Amauchichu said, I have questions. What does index match get to be used in data analytics? So all these functions, lookup values, all the lookup functions or references, Vlookup, Xlookup, that we just discussed today, that's still part of is it that when you're cleaning data sets or when you're doing analysis? When you're cleaning data sets or when you're doing analysis. So that's when it gets to be used. And to use this particular one, it depends on what you're trying to do. Just like the scenarios I've explained, right? Please, can anybody still hear me? Because I don't know if my network is bad. Can you still hear me? Please indicate. Can anyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? So I'm guessing you cannot hear me. Okay. Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Network is really bad.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can hear you, ma.
Yes, can. I can hear you.
Alright, so continue. My network is going on and off, so that's concerned. So I believe that this particular part is let's guys. Alright. So far we understood yes match, right? We understood these functions. At least you can explain what they do to use it in a data set, right? Alright. So the last one is Xlookup. I'm treating Xlookup last because I don't really know how many of us are using the Excel 2021. So we have Xlookup, and Xlookup is like the most newly added lookup function so that it will resolve the limitations that VLOOKUP has. Remember that VLOOKUP, whatever you're looking for, has to be in the leftmost column, right? But with Xlookup, it can be in the left, it can be in the right. You don't need to be actually concerned if what you're looking for in the leftmost column. You can easily just do your stuff. So that's what like Xlookup does for you. It removes limitations that VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP might have. So I'll just use an example to actually explain it. And then it also works vertically and horizontally. If you want to search for something horizontally, Xlookup can do it for you. If you want to search vertically, it will still do it for you. Unlike VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP that have their specific functions where they work. So that's where like Xlookup comes in. You know, as it goes by Xlookup, it's telling you lookup value, the lookup array, the return array, if found, if not found, what should happen, then the match mode, right? So we'll take it one by one to see the values that each one should have. So let's say that we are looking for this is lookup value, and we are looking for it in the ID, right? Then we want to return score. So definitely highlight the score table as our return array. Then if it's not found, what do we do? We want to say not found. And then 0 because we want the exact match. And then in search mode, you can actually not in case what should be there and your stuff should actually run correctly. So now we looked for ID in the ID column. We want to return, we looked for 101 in the ID column and want to return the corresponding score. It gave us 89 with Xlookup. It gave us 78. Meanwhile, the score of Nena is 89. So let's see what's happened here. And selecting the range, the lookup array is the goal of the ID column. What happens? It returns not found for you. What if Please, can you hear me now? Oh my word. Sorry, I didn't even know that I didn't know that people can hear me. So sorry about that. Just playing with us. Yes, the screen stopped sharing now. I'm trying to share the screen now. Network is trying to play us. Okay, that means people didn't get my. Did you get the part where I started Xlookup? Did you get that part where I started Xlookup? So I know if I'm repeating myself. If you got the part, please comment. We don't really have time. Let's be fast. This is 8:50 so that we can. I want us. No. Some people are saying no, others are saying yes. Okay, it's not something that is hard, right? So I said that Xlookup removes the barrier or the limitations that Vlookup has. When we're treating Lookup, we already say that whatever you're looking for should be in the leftmost column of the range you're selecting. But with Xlookup, it can be anywhere. It can be in the middle. What you're looking for can be in the middle. It can be in the leftmost column. It can be the rightmost. Like there is no restriction. And then when you're talking about VLOOKUP, you're looking for something by column, and HLOOKUP is by row. But XLOOKUP, you can look for anything and return from anywhere. So that's like it removes barrier. You know that as days are going by, things are getting easier. So that's what XLOOKUP does for you, right? I use this example to illustrate what XLOOKUP does. I'm just going to do it again for those that didn't see what we did. So let's say that I'm looking for an ID 101 and I'm looking for it in the array of this. Then I want you to return the scores, right? So that's like the return array. So there's an option for this when we were doing VLOOKUP. I gave us something that if that thing is not there, we enclosed it inside an if error function. I'll still go back and show you. But now Xlookup already includes it in its own formula. If it's not found, what should it do? It should return not found. So they looked at the limitations that VLOOKUP has and decided to include everything inside Xlookup so that we don't nest functions. Now there's no need of us nesting this Xlookup inside an if error function because it's already there for us. It removes that barrier, right? So now we put 0 for exact match. So either you write 0 is exact match, or false when you're talking about VLOOKUP. So now we close our brackets and it returns for us 89 because actually person who has 101 ID, the score is 89. So now what if I'm looking for Nena? I'm looking for the name Nena. In the ID column, see what is happening here. I'm looking for Nena in the ID column because we are still highlighting AD. We are still highlighting this part and this part. So it will return for us not the name error because there is actually no Nena. So I will enclose this Nena in a double quotation mark to show that it's string. And then it will tell us not found because Nena is not found in the ID column. If our lookup array should change to this, then it will still return for us 89 because Nena is found in the table. Do we get? So let me do the instance of something on the rightmost column and try to return it. So now remember what we looked for here is in the middle. If this was a VLOOKUP, it will flag an error because you must not look for something in the middle for VLOOKUP. But with Xlookup, you can look for anything in any column, right? So now let's say that we are looking for the score actually. We are looking for a score of 89. We know that, okay, There's somebody that got the highest score in a class, 99. So the lecturer or the teacher wants to know who is this student that performed extremely well. So the lecturer knows that the score is 99, and then the lecturer decides to look up the value in the score. So the lookup range will be this score, the score column, right? Then the return column. Remember, we want to know the person, so the return column will be the name column. And then we are telling it that if it does not find any match, it will return for us not found an exact match. So there's an error. We are missing a comma here. So click enter. So it's telling us not found. Why is it not found? Because there is actually no person who got a score of 99, right? But if we used approximate match, let's use 1. It returned name. Where is it returning name? Okay. What if we search for 92 and use the exact match? Return for us that Precious actually got 92 and that she's the highest, right? So that's like I think we are concluding all of this. So to wrap up, we've treated a lot of functions. This is also called a function, inbuilt functions. We've treated formulas. There are formulas like max to find the maximum value. There is mean. If I want to find the maximum value in this particular score, I will just use max. And it's telling me the maximum value is 92. If I want to find the minimum value, I'll use mean. So there is the mean, which is 78. There is the mode. There is average for mean, mode for highest occurring number. So as you go on to build more objects, you get more familiar with other functions. But I think we've touched the most frequently used case functions we are going to be using in Excel for your cleaning and for your analysis. So we are concluding that part. Please, if there is something you still do not understand, let me know, because I don't think we are revisiting this for our cohorts. So after today, we are closing anything about function, cleaning, and all of that. So if you have questions, kindly drop them, and we just go on a 5 minute break. So by 8:05, by we come back to continue with pivot table. So we'll treat pivot table extensively today, and when we come the next time, we'll go into pivot charts, data visualization, and that. So drop your questions in the chat, and I'll attend to it once you come back from our 5 minute break. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. It's exactly 9:05. So let's treat our pivot table in depth. Right. I hope we are all back. Then are you back? Precious, are you back? All right. Okay. So all right. That's good. So the last class we used pivot table, right? And we say that pivot table helps us to summarize a large data set so that when we look at it, we quickly know the summary based on the particular question that we are trying to answer. So a pivot table is a tool in Excel that allows you to summarize, analyze, explore, and present data from a large table. Emphasis on the large table, right? Imagine that you have thousands of rows of sales data. Pivot table can help you to answer questions of how many sales were made in a region. So I'm just going to go back to our original data set. This is it, right? So now the last time I think we touched on it, so we'll just touch more. What we did last time is actually everything that pivot table does. Just data. Like there's no big deal. It's just summary of data, but then the issue lies in knowing when to use which column, where to place it, right? So there are how many main parts? There are 4 main parts of a pivot table. I will insert one to use and explain. So if you want to start a pivot table, you go to the Insert tab, click on your pivot table, and from table range, so to tell you, do you want to start it in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet? So I want a new worksheet, so I'll click OK. And then now this is the pivot table. So now there are 4 main parts of a pivot table: filters, columns, rows, values, right? So these rows is like categories that you want to group by. Is it by regions, by country, by states? Is it product wise? Is it category wise? Like what do you want to group it by? Then the column, which is this one, is like headers across the top, right? Maybe for each product, the month will be listed here. So you want to see how many products was sold per month. So maybe January, February, March, and whatever will be up here, while your products will be here. So in that instance, you're seeing your values for the month, for the product, and the values is like the numbers you want to summarize. Is it like the price or quantity that you want? I'm using what I'm saying based on the data set that we have. Then filter is like what do you want to focus on? Is it like 2024 data set, 2025, or depending on the year? So let's press something. So this particular side, we want to see products. Let's use state-wise. So we have Abuja, Accra, Kan, Enugu, Lagos, and all of that. So this is what we are having. And then we want to see the total we want to see the quantity of products that was sold for each state, right? So these are the products that was sold for each particular state. So in Abuja, you have 7, Accra, 5. Now, what if you want to see the product name? Okay, you really want to see products that was sold, so you can put them under columns. So now it's scattered, right? So you need to be careful. Looking at this tonight does not really make sense. So ordinarily, I will not do this thing, but because I want to explain how this works, I will leave that way. So now, this is my rows. So each row is per state. It's talking about one state. The columns is the headers, just like I said before. So for each product, this is Blender. It's telling us that Abuja did not, like, no blender was sold in Abuja, no books were sold in Abuja, no chair was sold in Abuja. The same thing with decks, earbuds, but then 7 headphones were sold in Abuja. No laptop stand, no mace. Do you get the point now? So when you come to Accra, you are doing it, you are separating the products that are sold for each state and for each particular product. That's your interest. You're trying to find them. So when you take a look, if I decide to remove this product from here, I now have my states and quantity wise. If I decide to remove the states and put the products, so it's telling me how many quantities of each product were sold. How many quantities of each product were sold. So you can see that this is like a summary. If you looked at this data before, you would not know how many products were sold at a glance because the table is large. But because we have summarized it using PivotTable, it is very easy for you to look and say, oh, 50 blenders were sold. It is very easy for you to say, oh, 90 t-shirts were sold, because you have summarized it and summarized it based on a particular question. The two key columns we're interested now is product and quantity, right? Product and quantity. If you wanted, it by persons, you would have used those persons' name. Maybe use their first name. So you know that Ahmed bought this, Alice bought this, Anne bought this. So now, what I want to point out is that if I decide to carry full name and put other values, it will count it to do a count for me, because name is not numerical. It can only do counts. If I decide to go and start doing average, it cannot average name because it's telling me division by error. Why? Because name is not a value. So anytime you are carrying a text value and putting it in the value field, the only thing you can do is count. Meanwhile, if it's for numerical values, there are many things you can do. If I click this drop down, I'll click value field settings. I can do count, I can do average, I can do max for maximum, I can do min for minimum, I can do product to times, a whole lot, right? There's standard deviation, there's variance, which you're not going to be using most times. Most times what you use is the count, the sum, the average, min, max, finish. So these value field settings are valid for only numerical number values. For text, you can only count them, right? Because aggregation cannot be performed on text value. Remember, aggregation cannot be performed on text value. That's why we're having this division by zero error. So I'll just remove this name from value. So the only thing that is permitted to be in the value section is the numerical values, right? Numerical data types, number data type, currency, number, fraction, decimal. They can be in values, but your full name, your name, the state, the country can take all of these fields except your values, right? So take note. So now, let me take a look at our data again and see another question we can answer, and you tell me which column to place where. So when we're looking at this table now, I can see that I have calculated fields, which we did in the last time. So now I'm interested in knowing how much, listen, I'm interested in knowing how much the payment method generated. Like I have cash, I have card here, I have cash, I have transfer, and okay, these are the three things we have. So I want to know for each of these things now, the actual price, like the sum, how much came through card, how much came through transfer, how much came through cash. This will determine, help my organization to know the best payment method what our people prefer and make it easy for them. So that's the question I want to answer. So now, how do we do it? If you know the answer, where do we place which word? Which columns do we place in where? And which columns do we place in where? You can type it in the chat. So I'll just copy this pivot table. I'll place it here. My interest is for each payment method, I want to know how much was generated for each payment method. So how do I do it? What should be in rows? What should be in value? Right? So let me hear from you. Oh yeah, let's see how many of us are following. To answer this particular question, what should be in my rows? What should be my column? You can unmute yourself. It's either you unmute yourself to say, or you can use our chat. I'm waiting for reactions from you. Nobody answering. Could you come again, please? Okay, somebody's already answering. Payments on values. Why? Payment of values. You want to put the payment method on values. Okay, I will do what you asked me to do. Payment method of values. See what it told me of 28. It just counted the rows for me. So this
I
is
think
obviously
payment
wrong.
method is row.
It's payment method is row.
Payment method
So
row,
these are the payment.
and then the
Okay.
transaction column.
The transaction. Is there a column named transaction?
The
What actual
or
price?
amount, or maybe price. Amount should be.
Yes. So now it's saying counts. Is it counts that we're supposed to do?
Count
Is
of
it counts we're supposed to do? We're supposed to do count of actual price? No.
Yes. Okay.
No, we are not supposed to do count. We are supposed to do sum because we are interested in knowing how much. You are not supposed to. Okay, if you say count, let me tell you what happens when you say count. When you say count, you know that our rows are 28 in number. When you say count, you're asking it how many times did card appear in the table. So it will come over here and start counting. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you get the point? It is counting it. But when you say sum, you are saying come to the actual price. This is card. This is 1,530. This is card again. This is 2,500. Add 1,530 to 2,000. Do you get? So it will keep summing it. It will now tell you the actual price, the amount that was generated by card, and then the amount that was generated by cash, and so. So I'll change this field value setting to sum, and I'll click OK. So now it's telling me that this amount was generated by cash. This one was generated. So this value error we are having is from our data. So I'll go back and check this data and see what's happening. So in the actual price, this is what should be causing our error. And it is from here. So I'll just replace this with 0.1. Then to calculate it for us, we are still having this value. Okay, now, so we can go back. I think we have a consistent data. So we can refresh, go to our data, refresh. So now that we've refreshed, it has affected this list. Remember what I said. If you do some changes and you think it's not affected, always come to your data tab and refresh it so that it will make those changes for you, right? So now you can see the difference between count and sum. I'll still put it again and use count so that you can actually know the difference very well. So a lot of persons will do analysis and they will think that they're right. So the main thing is understanding the why behind whatever you're doing is very important. It's very, very important. If I use count, I'm counting the number of times card appeared 11 times, cash appeared 8 times, credit appeared once, and transfer appeared 8, making it a count of 28 rows, which is what we have in our table. But that was not my initial question. My question is how much? So that if I take now, I can use conditional formatting and highlight the top. So now I have highlighted this thing. I'll go to my home tab and I'll come here, conditional formatting. I'll say highlight the top one for me. So I'll change it to top one. Fill it with red. So taking a look at this, I'll know that card. People like paying with card. People prefer to pay with their card rather than cash. Many people don't like doing on credit. Like maybe why is even zero is that particular shop you cannot pay, you cannot buy on credit. So that's why it's zero. Then transfer, right? So after card is transfer. Very few people like to do with cash. So if I'm a business owner that has this result of data from my data analysis, this is analysis that we have done, right? This is an analysis that we have done. So these people analysis. If this was my store, what I will do is I will make sure that my bank is always working. I will use microfinance banks like OPay, MoneyPoint, so that my customers will never have any issue using their card to pay transactions or transfer. Because from my analysis, I have found out that most of my customers prefer to pay with their card or through transfer. Only a few like to pay with cash. So I will make sure that even if it's possible, I have POS in my shop. So when somebody comes in my store to buy something, it will be very easy for them to make their payments seamlessly. Because when they find it hard to make payment through card and transfer, it will be chasing customers away. And before you know it, because you don't know good or transfer, people will start coming to your shop. So this is like a simple analysis that how do you do the analysis? How do you even interpret it, right? We're going to do another analysis, simple one, and I want somebody to interpret it for me. I just did this one now. So let me do the interpretation again. I looked after doing this analysis, right? First of all, the key question I wanted to ask, you have to understand the problem you're trying to solve. I want to know that in my shop, I accept payment by card, I accept payment by cash, I accept payment by transfer. I don't really use credit, but people ask for it. But when they ask for it, I don't do. That's why credit is zero. So now my interest is I want to know which of the payment method do my customers like to use most. And to do that, I will know it by actual price that was actualized by each payment method. So that's why I'm using sum of actual price to do it. So I now use PivotTable to actually make, I use PivotTable to actually summarize this thing. So with this PivotTable, I have a list of numbers, but I don't really want to stress myself to start looking through these values to know the top. So I use conditional formatting to highlight the top, the highest actual money realized. And I discovered that it matches to card. So now in my mind, I now say, okay, since my customers actually prefer paying with card, what do I do? Right? Remember types of data analysis. What do I do? What kind of analysis is that? This is our first class. when you're asking what do I do, what do we do, you're trying to recommend solution now. Who knows the right answer to that? Have you forgotten? Somebody said prescriptive. Is that the right answer? What should we do?
Predictive, ma.
Who answered? Check. Is not
Ma?
Sarah. So Tommy is saying predictive. You will back up your answer, your response with a valid reason. Tommy, why are you saying predictive? Or yeah, tell us, why is it predictive?
Prescriptive. Because we
Yes,
already know what happened. So now we have to look for a solution to it.
good. So Tommy, why are you saying predictive?
Ma?
Are you the same person as Sarah? Right? Tommy is
No,
saying
I'm not
predictive.
saying
So I'm
I'm
asking Tommy,
Simbiat.
why is it predictive? Okay, I seen that. All right, sorry. Nena says predictive because they are looking for solution and value. It's actually prescriptive. Okay,
It's prescriptive.
this is prescriptive because we are looking for a solution. Like, what is the way forward? That's what you're answering. Predictive is that you are trying to what is likely to happen based on past data. Okay, let me do a scenario where it can be predictive. That should be trying to think of twisting the question or a scenario where it should not be predictive, because sometimes these things can overlap, and it can be confusing. But for this particular instance, it's predictive because we are trying to know the way forward. The way forward is that we should make transactions by card very seamless by using microfinance, making sure that we have POS so that people can have seamless transactions. So it's actually prescriptive, right? Prescriptive type of data analysis. If you still don't understand what they mean, you can go back to our first video on the YouTube channel and actually get yourself acquainted with it. So now, before we wrap up for today, I want you people to help me with just one last question and summarize it using PivotTable, interpret the results, and tell me what you think. So let's go. I would, whatever you say I should do, I'll do it. So everybody will be seeing it on my screen. So you don't have excuse of seeing you're not with your system. We're doing it together. So the question is, the question is, we have status of page, we have status of pending. I want to know the payment method that has pending and page the most. Like, which one goes through? Is it when you pay by cash? It goes. Sorry, my voice is already cracking. Is it when you pay by cash, it goes through? Or is it by transfer? Because sometimes people make transactions and it goes through. Sometimes it's pending. So I want to know the payment method that actually does that the most. How do we answer that question? What should I put in my rows? What should I put in my column? And all of that. Let's go. Who is going first? Did you get the question? Did you get the question? Did you get the question? You should not fall my hand. No. The question is that, okay, let me repeat the question. The question is that this is like a everyday thing that happens. Some people Okay, some people will go to store and buy something. They will pay by cash, they will pay by transfer or credit or whatever. Sometimes it will go. If it goes, it's paid. If it's not, if it's hanging, it's be pending. So now my interest is knowing which payment method generates pending or which one goes through most. That's my interest. Is it card that when you use it, it will go, or it will do pending? You cannot say it's card because you have not done the analysis. That's why you do analysis. So you need to actually do it. So I'm saying somebody
Payment,
and tell me what to do.
the payment method will still be on row.
Okay, let's be doing it. Where is the payment method? Payment method be on row. Okay, I have it up here. What
And
else?
then I don't know if we have anything like period, time.
The status. We are working with payment method and status. So that's the first thing you need to identify. Which columns answer this question now?
Then
So we are working with,
the status should go to column.
okay, whatever I tell you, I'll do. Okay, see, this is what we have. What else?
And then I think another one should still go to value. Let's see.
Which one?
The amount.
So, no, the status, boy, to be count, because
Okay.
remember, it's actually string. But that was a very close one. Like, I'm really proud of you. So now we have page and we have pending. So when you look at this thing, you have card. Card, in situations of card, right? There are actually 11 instances, just like we're having here. So in these 11 instances where card was used, 9 went through, 2 hanged, right? I'm doing interpretation for you. No. Okay, please continue. Remember, you're supposed to interpret. Who was answering our question? Or somebody else can go. Then, do
I just continue with the interpretation.
you want to continue?
No, just continue for us.
No, no, no. I want people to do it. I know that you understand what I said. Then, oh yeah, interpret. Then now, waiting for you.
Sorry. Anytime they call me, I will go back because I'm still on duty. I'm juggling in between.
Okay,
So we
if you
have.
cannot speak, can you speak?
I can speak now. Yes, I'm settled with the guest.
Okay, oh yeah, no. Can you interpret? Oh,
Yes, from the little I've
okay,
understand
oh
so far.
yeah,
The,
interpret. Let's
yes,
see.
depending the cards we are having. That is, you say we are looking for the one that is most pending. If it's card that is
Yes.
pending or cash that is pending or transfer. So we're having card here is spent 9, which is pending, and
No,
cash
9 is paid.
9 is paid. Okay, okay, it's paid. Okay,
Yes.
yes, yes. 9 is paid. 6 is paid. Credit there is nothing. The
Are
transfer
you,
is
are you,
paid. Why the pending? Yes, it's more bolder now. So, can I continue?
yes, continue.
Okay, then the pending, the card is 2, the cash is 3, credit is 1 pending, while transfer is 3. Then the grand total
Yeah. Okay, so what's like your final verdict now?
Okay. My final verdict is card. No, sorry. Hey, Jesus. Because the pending is 9. Then what is not pending? Because cash and transfer is having the same value of pending.
Okay. So in that instance, what do you
So in this instance, I don't know.
okay? That was a good attempt. Somebody
Now,
else to
can I
help
say
us.
something? From
Oh
what
yeah,
I
yes, say
understood
something.
here, from what I understood here, you said you are trying to we are trying to look for the one that the payment goes faster, right?
Yes.
So from what
Not
we have here,
necessarily.
card, those that paid with card, they have only two pending, and card has uh, the highest payment, the highest
Okay.
transaction with fast transaction. That's what, and the ones with
So now,
cash,
which one has what's the worst?
cash is having 5.5.
Is it 5?
All right. So that was a really nice attempt, all of you, showing that this is actually your first um, encounter with PivotTable, right? So um, the business owner should focus on card because first of all, it's actually the most used and it has less pending cases. Now, when you look at cash and transfer, cash, there's no way, like this should actually, this is where your domain knowledge comes in. If you look at cash, somebody that gives you cash, automatically that transaction should have gone. It's paid already. Like there is no need of putting it as pending. So it might be a data entry error in this instance, right? So if you are to know give a verdict between cash and transfer, which one has more pending case, it will actually be transfer that has the most likely case of having a pending case, because once somebody pays with cash, that transaction has already been recorded as paid. Do you understand? So in this instance, choosing between cash and transfer is where your domain knowledge comes in. That you know that once somebody pays with cash, that transaction has already occurred and should not be put as pending. But transfer has a higher tendency to be pending because of network issues and all of that. So, but that was a really good attempt. By the time we do our project by next week, we'll do more pivot tables, more interpretations, and then visualize it with chart, and then we'll see how the whole thing turns out. So thank you all for coming to class today. I hope you really learned a lot and it was interactive and that you are growing. So keep practicing, keep practicing. I'll have assignments sent to us before this week runs out, and then we'll submit it. Usually, deadline for submission is usually 7:30 by Tuesday. So please, I don't want to have excuses in my DM. Make sure you do your assignment on time and stay safe. Thank you for coming to this class. All right. See ya. The attendance will be shared. Yes, the attendance will be shared now.
A lot of people have